Good afternoon, Miguel. So, first, I want to thank you very much for your really hard work. It's so refreshing to have an individual who knows SEO and actually has done such a good job. I've gone through about three copywriters, and all of them they've been okay, but they haven't really had much. They've claimed they had SEO knowledge, um, but actually, when I looked at the way the content they wrote, it wasn't really that good. So looking at your website, I can tell that you definitely know about your SEO, seeing that you rank for a number of keywords in the USA. So regarding the email that you sent me, I had a look through the content that you sent. I have to say it's really well written in terms of the structure and all that. You've got, the keywords that I'm looking for. Um, and as you say, yes, of course, I understand that some of these words will not appear exactly in the context, obviously, because they need prepositions or they don't include the little accents on top of them. But I appreciate that you put in a lot of these keywords here. And also just the way in which you've written it. I had a chat to one of my friends, and she said, that your text is quite natural how you write. She did highlight one or two things. If I type here, like here, she did mention like combining these two words seemed a little bit strange for her, but I did explain that your you mentioned over here that you obviously you haven't gone through and checked the spelling and grammar, and this is still a first draft, and I appreciate that. So I'm not expecting word perfect spelling and grammar, so I'm happy with this. Also really appreciate the effort you put through to ask questions regarding the questions that I never sort of forgot to include, like cancellation policies, size of the classes, experience of the teachers. That really helps a lot. So appreciate that very much. Really, really, really impressed. On that note, is it possible for you to give me your BZoom number? Because in my culture, we appreciate when somebody goes the extra mile, which you've done, and you haven't yet even finished. So I'd please like to give you a little tip, what do you call it? A little regalo, so to speak, as a thank you. And obviously this is separate to obviously the payment for the final content, but just as a thank you, just for doing such a good job. And I know we're not even finished yet, and I'm already so impressed. So regarding the other part of the email, I agree with this part over here regarding let's actually look at the proper keywords as a test. As you can see, I'll bring up the second one. I agree with what you say in that a lot of these keywords are repeated. Clases particulares, clases de inglés particulares, Madrid. Yes, I mean, we can't repeat these too much, otherwise you will get penalized by Google for over optimization. What's really, really quite cool with one of the tools that I have, which is the Surfer SEO. I'll try to see if I'm trying to give you access to this stuff. This tool over here gives me some useful ideas of their important elements. For example, what H3s they use, what strong words they use. So for example, this guy's over here. That's where I got a few of those from, the H2s. I find this very useful because you get an idea of what keywords they were ranking for. I'm happy to, of course, share this information with you. So maybe to give you some extra help and all that, or you have maybe your own ideas of how best to construct a plan. I did put the ones that I believed were. Where is it? Sorry, got too many documents here. Oops, let's close this. Apologies. Sorry, internet is a bit slow, even though I paid for fiber. Don't know why it's taking so long. Okay, so yeah, these are the words that I took from the tool, from this particular tool over here. I got these sort of H2s and H3s and H4s, but I'm happy again to share that information with you so that maybe it'll give you some extra ideas, but tell me your thoughts on that. Yeah, I agree, like equipo normally refers to staff and all that, and that would be in a separate page, like profesores de inglés. Anyway, so regarding the keyword length, so I use this tool quite a lot because it allows me to optimize the content around on the level of which other SEO websites, so to speak, people obviously who have made their website with the idea of SEO in mind. So for example, British Council, Group Vaughan, Info India Mass, these are some big players in the game. I imagine there are affiliate sites with big dollars behind them. Whereas for example, oops, oh my god. Whereas for geez, I'm really screwing this up nicely. Whereas, for example, Para9 Info, Tandem, you can just see by the domain traffic, okay, that these guys have optimized their content to a higher level and they haven't got as much domain strength as the likes of Group 4 or British Council. So the course that I'm doing, just by a very well-known SEO guy, Matt Diggity, he highlighted the importance of just focusing on these sort of websites because they will give you a more accurate idea of how much SEO effort you should put in versus these guys who have got in here based purely on their domain authority. So for example, you can see American Language Academy with 15,000 words. That's just ridiculously high. So when you look at this a little bit more closely, Surf Analyzer, I chose the sites which are more SEO optimized, okay, and this is a sort of grade. This is the site 1, this is site 3. So if I click on this, it'll open up to American Language Academy, Para9 Info. So what it does is that it gives you an average for certain features. So for example, the body, how many words, they average about 1,200. So I agree that definitely to go a little bit higher than that would be an idea, like maybe 1,500, 1,600, 1,700, within that range. But I think if you push it too far, then you kind of go maybe too much to the extremes. The other reason as to why I think I agree with what you're saying, that over here, those are cursos. Now, I agree that if you were to do, for example, something like cursos de inglés in general, then you would be, this is for some reason ranked in Madrid. Let me go for this, cursos de inglés online, for example. Now I would be playing with some much bigger players, British Council, Group 4, Cursos de Inglés. These are guys who have domain authorities of over 50 or 60. So yeah, I would have to have some pretty sizable domain authority or very highly specialized SEO. But for something that's just more niche focused, like Cursos de Inglés Madrid, a lot of these websites, Idioma Surf, there's another one, Cambridge House, these guys only have a domain authority of around 23 or 24. I haven't really put much effort lately into my backlinks, but I'm pretty positive that with a bit of optimization I could easily outrank these guys quite quickly. Anyway, so that's the reason why I don't see the need at the moment to go to between 2,000 to 2,500. Because I don't want to be I can see that these guys can rank for this content with as little as 359 words, going to about 1,500, 1,600 would put me into a pretty sweet middle spot over there. I agree 1,200 is a bit short on that. Anyway, so the videos, yeah, I agree that generally videos do help to reduce bounce rates, but I'm trying to maintain a very good page speed on my site. This is on desktop, this is on mobile. I need to improve a bit. If I put a video on here, this drops significantly. So I try to avoid, I put videos more onto my blogs or into my inner pages, but for the home page, definitely want to rank on the speed basis as well. Also, this is the website domain, profesoresingles.com. The design, the guy who did the design and tried to do the content didn't really consider the SEO behind it. So I am going to be working on this quite a bit. An inspiration I have is from a friend of mine who ranks in the UK for London proofreaders. He's doing pretty well, making about €4,000 a month now. So I noticed that his site maybe is not as attractive, so to speak, but in terms of SEO, it is very superior. It's got like your idea of bullet points, which I liked about your content that you wrote. You had a lot of bullet points, which helps quite a lot. The right certain keywords are highlighted, I'll put in bold, which is really good, like you've done. So yeah, I definitely am going to reconsider redesigning my layout on this, because yeah, definitely this is, yeah, it's a bit messy, and it's more difficult, I think, for the Google bots to crawl through them. So yeah, that's all from me. Sorry for the long video. I just think it's easier to sometimes video explain these things versus an email, because it can be quite long. But yeah, I agree with going to the next stage over here, and then by then we would have a better idea of how much it would cost to do subsequent pages. And yeah, and I'll of course tell me where I can sort of work on my words, the keywords that reduces as much as possible the time that you spend, and you can focus on the writing. But yeah, that's all from me. So thanks once again. Please even give me your BZoom number. I'd like to just send across a little tip for thanks for your initial work, and then we can just you can write to me and tell me the next part. We'll start on the next page, and then you can give me your quote on how much you think it's going to be for that page, and I'll send off the money straight away. Anyway, thanks very much. Cheers.